Hey guys, today what we're going to be doing is looking at solving solving equations using square roots. So what this means is we will have a square root somewhere in the problem. And what I want you to do is your first step is to identify where the square root is. And our goal is to get rid of all the numbers around it. So in this example, I have radical h. And I am trying to get rid of everything around there. So what we need to do is first I need to eliminate this 1 by subtracting 1 on both sides. This would give me radical h all over 3 is equal to 1. Then what I would do is I would multiply both sides by 3 to eliminate the 3's. And this would give me radical h is equal to 3. So far this is very similar to other problems we've done. Now this is where it gets a little different. In order to eliminate a square root, we need to do the inverse operation of it, which is square it. That will eliminate the square root and the h to give you h equals 9. Okay? And then you're done. So let's go and look at this one. Now this one's a tad different. This one, the first example we looked at, we had to square both sides to eliminate this one. Now on this one, it's going to be a tad different, and our answer is going to be a little different as well. So the first thing what I want to do is I'm going to add 3 onto both sides. This will give me n to the second power is equal to 32. Now what we need to do is I need to square root both sides. Now here's a quick rule. So when we are solving, so when given an equation, and we must square root both sides, your answer will have a plus and a minus. And all this means is that my answer would be positive and negative. So let me go ahead and show you this example. I'll show you an easier example to hopefully make that connection. So here's the step. If I'm solving with an equal sign and I need to square root both sides, I will get n, but my answer would be positive radical 32 and negative radical 32. Now we still need to simplify these. This is 4 and 8. Excuse me, I see an easier one. This is 16 and 2. And the square root of 16 is just 4 and 4. So this will give me positive 4 radical 2. And similar here, it would be then negative 4 radical 2. You might see this in textbooks written like this in shorthand, plus or minus 4 radical 2. This just means you have a positive 4 radical 2 and a negative 4 radical 2. Now, why is that the case? If I were to give you an easier example and it's saying, I have some number taken to the second power and it equals 100. Well, what would you guys say my answer is? The majority of us might say, oh yeah, 10 times 10 will give me 100. But is there any other example where the two numbers that are exactly the same will equal positive 100? And there is. Negative 10 times negative 10 is equal to 100 as well. So basically what it is, anytime I take the square root on both sides, I'm going to have x equals plus and minus that number. This just means positive 10 and negative 10. So hopefully this, guys, I just made this up on top of my head, makes sense when we solve those types of problems. All right. So let's go ahead and look at this one now. This one's a little different because it's not a square root, it's a cubed root. I have z cubed. So in order to get rid of this, first thing what I'm going to do, I don't like it when it's a decimal. So I'm going to have z to the third power is equal to negative 27 over tens, hundreds, thousands, thousands. And I want to take the cubed root. Oops, we're not there yet. So in order to figure this out, what I need to do is I need to take the cubed root on both sides. Because just how square roots and squared cancels, cubed roots and cubes cancel. So now I'm going to take the cubed root of negative 27 and the cubed root of 1,000. So 3 numbers that multiply to negative 27. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. And 10 times 10 is 100 times 10 is 1,000. So therefore, z equals negative 3 over 100. Now, just a quick reminder from the previous lessons, it is okay that this one is negative because you're taking the cubed root. You're taking an odd root. Okay. All right, now this one's a tad trickier because there's more than one thing inside the square root. But the same rules follow. Your very first thing is what you want to do is get the square root all by itself. In order to do that, I have this positive 4. I'm going to minus 4 on both sides. This is going to give me the square root of b minus 1 is equal to 2. So now my next step, in order to eliminate a square root, what I need to do is square it. So I'm going to square both sides. This is going to give me b minus 1 is equal to 4. So then I'm going to add 1 on both sides, and this will give me b equals 5. Okay? All right, so yeah, that's it for that one. Similar to this one, the one we previously just did, this has the entire problem is in the square root. So if I said, look at this problem, eliminate get the square root all by itself, it's already all by itself. So the only thing I need to do is square both sides by 2. And this will give me 2x minus 1 is equal to 25. I'm going to add 1 to both sides to get 2x equals 26. Divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 13. And 13 is my final answer. So if you have any questions with that one or any of the other ones, please feel free to let me know. We actually have one more. So on this one now, what we need to do is we need to first, I'm trying to get the a squared all by itself. Okay, so that's my goal. So the first thing what you always want to do with these is get rid of adding and subtracting. I have this positive 7 right here, so what I'm going to do is minus 7 on both sides. This is going to give me 1/4 a squared is equal to 3. Now my next step, what I want to do is I have 1/4. That is equivalent of a squared over 4 equals 3. This is what we're a little bit more used to seeing, so all I need to do here now is multiply both sides by 4. So those 4's cancel, and I'm going to be left with a squared is equal to 12. Now, similar to that rule, whenever I am taking the square root on both sides and there's an equal sign, I'm going to have a equals plus or minus radical 12. Because positive times a positive is positive, and a negative times a negative is also a positive. I'm not 100% done yet because I need to simplify this. I need to see if I can reduce radical 12, which I can. And I have a pair of 2's, so I'm going to have a equals plus or minus 2. And whatever's left over, which is the radical 3. Okay? If you prefer, I do not mind. You'll get full credit if you wrote 2 radical 3 and negative 2 radical 3. You must have them both written down, or the plus and the minus. All right, guys, I hope these videos help you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or your teacher.